feel? At what age do you think you accepted naps? Because the reason I was running late to this recording today is because I was asleep.
I feel like it's mid to late 30s.
That would make sense. Because
Unless you're a toddler, yeah.
When I was a teenager and stuff, I always remember I used to make fun of my pop all the time. Could go visit him, and then he would have this if he took us out, somewhere or whatever, go home in the arvo, nap. I used to be like, make fun of him, be like, how can you nap, blah 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 blah. And yeah, I'm not saying I'm like, it's not like a daily nap thing or whatever. But I also do feel like I am quite often bad at sleep. And by that, I mean I will stay up till like pretty consistently like 12, like midnight-ish or whatever, and get up at 6 o'clock every day. Which whenever I mention to people, it's like, how do you do that? That's bad for you, blah, blah, blah. All this sort of stuff. I do think that does lead me to at least usually once every week and a half, there will come a day, and today was the day where and it always goes through something. I was playing a video game, and then I just laid down on the couch, slide, it's like, your body's like, I just want to get a bit comfortable, next second, wake up, go, what the fuck happened? Where am I? Oh god, I'm supposed to be recording in a minute. Yeah, and I don't know, I just don't know at what age it was, and I'll say, I know it probably isn't healthy because you're supposed to get more sleep, but I'm sort of okay with my sleep schedule being terrible if I just have to have like a nap every like once a week, like
okay.
I'm sort of okay. Yeah, I mean, how do you? I don't know what I'm asking you, but
what's the story with naps? Yeah, I think very similar. Like my sleep schedule is pretty terrible as well. Although I've tried to be better because it helps with general health. But yeah, I mean, there was a stage there where I was coming home, and especially if I was like doing a morning shift, so I wouldn't go to bed till like 12 o'clock and have to get up at 5, and then finish work, fall asleep once I get home, for a little while. But I can't imagine they're bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, requiring a nap every single day is probably really bad for you, but
yeah,
you just try to get sleep where you can. I mean, I remember a story. Is it Napoleon who didn't sleep a whole night? He just took cat naps like constantly throughout the day. So and he lived a full and
he definitely lived the life. Hey,
yeah,
he had a life. Some would say that he did have a life. Yeah, I don't know. It is like a for better or worse. I think I've just accepted over the years that sometimes to fit in all the things I choose to try and fit into my life, that because I don't. I've always said this. It's like I don't enjoy sleep, but I'm like, and always, it's a necessary thing. And I do find it weird when people are like, I enjoy sleep. I'm like, but you're not like, how can you enjoy sleep? Because you're not aware of enjoying sleep. I understand it's a necessary thing, and I understand that doctors do say that getting the right amount of sleep is probably good for your health and important. But I do in general not like the idea of sleep because it takes away from the hours in which I could be doing things.
I think that's probably a very common thought process. And not healthy.
But it is part of that problem of, and I feel it's like more of a modern problem, I guess, of not slowing down to make sure you get the right amount of slow down your life to get the right amount of healthy amount of sleep and stuff. Because even if I'm tired, I think there was a day last week where I was really tired. I can't, but I did it. I went out, did something, did a bunch of shit, and then I knew I had to watch something for a recording, but because I chose to do other stuff the night before, I knew I had work, and even though I was really tired, I'm like, well, I gotta set my alarm for like 5:30 now, so I can get up and watch a movie before I go to work. You know, like it's just. But this that whole thing is like, what do you do? People, it's like, what do you do this morning? Oh, I wake up, blah blah blah. No, so I've already watched a movie today. I've done this. It is a funny feeling when you go rock into work and people are like, oh, what is you doing? And I'm like, guys, I've already done so much today. Like, let's keep it going. I got shit to do.
You need to hurry up because I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm like, why? I'm wired. Let's move on to the next thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. What was my other little funny tidbit story I was going to tell you? On Monday last week, went to Mariah Island. Was the funny little story I was going to tell you. Mariah, I think I'm saying it right. Mariah Island, Maria, or Maria. I think it's Maria actually. Maria.
That's generally Maria.
Yeah, I'm saying. I keep saying
Carrie has a H at the end.
Yes, so I'm saying it incorrectly for some reason. Mariah Carey's like just locked in the brain for some reason, so I'm like auto-correcting. Maria Island, which I never. Yeah. Never been there before. You have to drive. It's sort of south. There's a wharf sort of thing south of Tassie. So it's like sort of from Launceston. It was about a 2-hour drive to get to the wharf thing, and then you get on a boat and you go there. And it's just like this secluded, I never actually looked up if it's considered. When they won't like build or do anything like a heritage, like a heritage building and stuff where they went up. I don't know if the island's like a heritage location or something, but it's like got a bunch of like old like convict buildings and stuff like that. So they had convicts were on there. Well, I mean, look, to be honest, Tassie's history is just. There were motherfucking convicts everywhere. Like that's the sort of
a big thing, right?
Yeah, everywhere from obviously Port Arthur's like I would say as far as Tassie's tourism, it's like Port Arthur's the one that most people know of and stuff. So, so you go there. It's like there's no vehicles on there. You have to travel there by boat. People do take over. Found out that people do take over camping gear and whatever, and they've got like a little camping area set up there where you can stay in a tent or something if you bring it across. And they have these like little carts and stuff that when you get there across the boat, you can pull them up the island and whatever else to go exploring on. But I did discover that because I saw fuck all animals, and when I got back, and that's apparently a big part of the. Like there's wildlife there. You can see like all these different things. And when I got back that night, I was like Googling and stuff. Like, what the fuck happened to the animals? Why wasn't there as many as I thought I could see? And I found some news articles, and here's another like people ruining it for everyone else scenario. Apparently, it's just like that constant thing of over years, the animals are getting a bit more wary because even though everyone that goes there at the tourist like booth thing before you buy the tickets to get on the ferry, they're like, make sure you don't touch the animals and stay 2 meters apart and all that sort of stuff. And then everyone, of course, not everyone, but too many people are going across there and then trying to grab the fucking animals to get pictures to post on the Instagram and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, if it's a more recent thing, and by recent I mean recent could mean 10 years, right? In the scheme of life and tourism to a location. I'm like, it's the fucking Instagram and social media ruining everything again because like years ago, 30 years ago, I guarantee people going over there, they wouldn't have been too fussed about making sure they get these really cool pictures where they're grabbing the goddamn animals because they would have had 20 photos that they could save in their wind-up camera, and that would have been more picky about where they're going. But now, because people have to come over and focused on doing cool TikToks and shit like that, people are trying to probably grab the animals and all stuff like that. And I'm like, no, social media is ruining another fun thing for me. Because I saw no animals. About? I don't know. Let's Google what animals on them. Animals. I know there's supposed to be wombats and some birds, and apparently Tassie devils live there, I think. Google AI to ruin me clicking on any website. Love that, but I'm going to read it anyway. It says key wildlife on the island are wombats, Tasmanian devils, kangaroos and wallabies, including a kind that apparently is mostly only found there. Cape Barren geese, a rare goose, echidnas, and marine life, including dolphins, seals, and during migration season, whales. And there's a whole shit ton, 125 species of birds, apparently. An endangered swift parrot, 40 spotted paradote, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, and maybe maybe we just went to shit locations. But I mean, we were there for like 4 fucking hours. Like, but yeah, when I was saying this, apparently people are trying to grab the goddamn wombats and shit like that. I'm like, don't grab the wombats. A, they might attack you. B,
they're heavy. You'll
they're
strain
heavy.
your back.
C, wombats are well-known relatives and association with drop bears. And if you piss a wombat off, you may incur the wrath of a drop bear later down the track, you know?
Do we need to start rumours about more Australian wildlife killing people? Like, about the cute ones, you know?
I think we should play into it as the tourism industry just as a whole should play into it.
You think this koala is cute?
Yeah.
Could be a drop bear. Think this wombat is adorable?
Because you could tell
the woman, laser eyes.
You could tell the woman who did the introduction, was doing the same spiel a million times a day. She swings around the map and it's like, here's the routes, blah blah blah. This one's for experienced walkers / hikers. This one's blah blah. Please stay 2 meters away from animals. Blah, 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 blah. In that spiel, just introduce and please be aware that there could be signs of drop bears at all locations.
It's very protective of animals. So don't.
Just throw it in and just without blinking an eye, just say it, add it in.
Or do we need, use the Yeti? Not your Yowie. Yowies in the train thing. Yowie is the protector of the island. They'll get you.
Mm-hmm. When you're sleeping.
No, when you're awake.
Oh, when you're awake.
When you're bedding, they'll come down, stab you, and steal your body. So there's no evidence. So drink up the blood. So there's no evidence left that you've gone at all, and someone's just going to assume you drowned.
I hope someone who's the minister
working in terrorism.
Who's?
I think Australians would get on board this collective lie to get tourists to stop annoying our native wildlife, Because obviously last year, remember, there was that big social media thing where a woman grabbed a baby wombat, Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. Enough.
Yeah.
Mr. Don Farrell, who's a senator for fucking Australian Federal Minister for Trade and Tourism, fix the shit.
Start a propaganda campaign to get tourists to stop touching Aussie animals.
Yep.
Except at wildlife places where they pay money to touch them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win for all Australians and Australian wildlife.
If you want to get closer and touch animals, go to pay to a zoo, which probably treats their animals like shit. But that is part of the.
I'm not going to say they treat them like shit. You know,
I'm not
sure
saying
they treat them fine.
I'm not saying all zoos. However, I am saying some zoos definitely.
I think you've been collared by American zoos, like Tiger King.
No, I
think Australian zoos are fine.
There is a zoo here that I've heard stories about. So,
okay,
and as a whole, zoos are an interesting topic anyway. You know, because you got to be if a zoo has has certain species and stuff, and depending on the enclosures, sometimes I do begin the question of, was this necessary? Is this animal?
What regard?
Well, it's just always the whole like it's you're taking an animal out of its. You quite often zoos are taking animals out of their natural habitat to put them on show for humans to see.
I guess, but would they have survived in the wild if they'd been?
No, and I mean that's
especially like endangered animals, like
pandas
or
no. So that's where the asterisk. That's where the asterisk comes on zoos. There are elements of zoos where there are endangered animals and stuff. Pandas are a really good fucking example of idiots who would not survive in the wild.
They would have been extinct a very long time ago.
And somehow actually just need humans to look after them. But there are, there's other things where you see, lions and stuff like that, where I'm like, I would have to know the backstory to said lion to understand if this is currently necessary for this lion to be here. Now, if someone was like, "Oh, this came out of it, we found it, it was left alone," something. I'm like, okay. But as a whole, there are certain animals like lions, tigers, and stuff like that where I'm like, especially if you go to a zoo and there's just one random tiger, I'm like, what's the story to this? Is this tiger necessary here? This is just a zoo tiger.
So you're against pets in general? You know, they're not in their natural habitat.
No, I mean pets. Domesticated dogs and cats and stuff like that are in the natural environment because over so many hundreds of thousands of years that living with humans has become their sort of natural environment. They don't have they're not wild animals anymore.
What about like exotic snakes and birds?
Exotic snakes and birds?
Yeah. Do you classify those like pets?
I don't I mean, I don't know. There's certain. I was like,
what about all these people with chimps?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's. I'm not putting a rubber stamp on the topic of zoos as I think all zoos should be shut down. I do think that every zoo could probably is going to have an asterisk on it of what percentage of animals in this zoo make sense to what percent shouldn't probably be here. And I think some zoos have a better balancing
ratio.
Act of, is what I would say. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying though?
I do. I can't remember how we got here.
Well, it doesn't matter how we got here. It's not particularly important how we got here. All's important is like, so picture I know you said not American zoo is different, but picture what's one of the most famous zoos of recent memory, Joe Exotic. Is that zoo necessary?
For his livelihood?
No. But like, was that zoo? Were the animals that got there? No. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So that's a good example of all the zoos that were seen in that series of, this is just humans taking animals out of there.
I mean, we didn't really see much of it's been several years. It was a pandemic thing, so it's been 6 years now, which is crazy. I don't remember seeing much else of the zoo. It was more the characters, you didn't actually see how the zoo functioned.
Barely.
Yeah. So you don't know. There might have been large swaths of the zoo that were run very well and humanely, or whatever the animal equivalent of humanely is.
I was just saying, it doesn't matter. Like, even if it is humanely, it's still that like older tigers are taken from their natural habitat to be put in a cage for humans to watch.
Well, maybe it's better than being out in the wild and getting hunted by poachers. You know.
Well, that's a straw man argument, because that implies that I think the poachers should exist as well. Because
yeah, I mean,
of which I would say no. Let the tigers just kill all the poachers. Yeah. You know, but there isn't like an element to like so endangered species and stuff. I do think that there are zoos out there which, you know, when they're endangered species and they're helping to repopulate and look after endangered species and whatnot. Obviously, that's good. I think the long-term goal should be to hopefully reintroduce those species back into the natural habitats and stuff, instead of just like the long-term goal shouldn't be to only have said species, whatever it is, only exist within the confines of a couple zoos around the world. You know, long-term goal should be to help repopulate the. I don't know why this is such a I don't feel like this
I'm
is
just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm like I'm looking at your face like I'm saying crazy stuff, but I don't feel
like if you put them back into the wild, then you're disrupting the current ecosystem that's currently been set up without them. You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've already fucked with the order of things. Just keep things as they are.
I wonder when was zoos invented?
Probably always. See, you know, I'm sure they spawned out of old like.
Surely they would have been spawned out of like circus and
that kind of thing.
That
like,
sort of stuff. Surely
that would, and they're like, oh, it's too much effort to keep moving all these animals. Let's just have one spot, and they can all just come. That seems like the most rational starting point for a zoo.
Yeah, well, it says the first one's technically it was made in 1828, but that was like a zoo that was made for primarily the study of animals, because of like zoo means zoology.
I mean, that's also could be true. You know, originally zoos were places where people could study. Bring all the animals in one place, we'll study them all, give them all habitats, and they're like, if we need to fund this, let's charge people to come have a look at them.
This Wikipedia article about zoos, which, yes, I'm using Wikipedia, our favourite source.
Great source.
Great. It says here, however, animal welfare organisations have expressed criticism of zoos and the conditions in which animals are kept. Concerns have been raised about the impact of zoos on animal welfare, including housing conditions and effects of visitor behaviour. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We ruin everything. In recent decades, I think have been made to improve conditions. Well, yeah. Enlightenment era, British Empire. They started by the British, big in Russia and Poland, fucking dancing bears and whatever the hell else. Oh god, then they were getting into fucking humans being. Now we get into some. Humans were occasionally displayed in cages at zoos along with non-human animals to illustrate differences between the people of European and non-European origin. In September 1996, William Hornaday, director of Bronx Zoo in New York City, with agreement of Madison Grant, head of the New York Zoology Society, had Oda Benga, a Congolese pygmy, displayed in a cage with the chimpanzees. With an orangutan named Dong and a parrot. The exhibit was intended as an example of the missing link between the orangutan and white man. It triggered protests from the city's clergymen, but the public would probably flock to see it. God. Lovely. I mean, the biggest one that you go through here is obviously the water parks and
yeah.
That's what the killer whales and stuff's probably the most.
Which makes sense because there's no way you could create an enclosure big enough to, naturally house a killer whale properly and maintain the cleanliness of the water when they usually live in the entire ocean There's no way that the water would ever get as contaminated as was in a tank. So.
It's interesting. Quick side tangent. It's related, but because I've been watching Jackass stuff again recently. But Steve-O, who when they did the Wild Boys series, they did a lot of things that he's since sort of felt like wasn't okay, as he turned into a bit more of an animal rights advocate in his in the later years and stuff, and that's why the last two Jackass movies, all the stuff with animals in it, they had a lot more. They included a lot more people to ensure that animals were treated better and whatever else. But like he's someone who did all this stuff with Wild Boys, and then he did this things for his YouTube channel like 5-6 years ago, where he got big into what's the fucking water park? I can't remember like the Killer Whale one or whatever. He like strapped him, like SeaWorld and stuff. He strapped himself with a bunch of duct tape or some shit to this sign that said like "fuck SeaWorld" and all this sort of stuff. I think he became a vegetarian, vegan or something as well. So, side tangent on that. It's funny, just I know where I'm going. Anyway, let's record Arcade Couch.